It was kind of a legendary tour, that one we just did. It was like being 17 again in some punk band in the 70s or something.
Really some long journeys on United States highways, but I know you came up to Canada for a couple dates. Yeah. Toronto and Montreal, right?
No, it was good. It was really good. It was a really good experience. It was kind of grueling, that's all, because, the drives, they were just crazy. But it's better than flying. It's better than being even in a tour bus, because you're just much more in touch with the trip, the journey. You don't kind of go off in your own world. But we went to Toronto and we went to Montreal. Hopefully next time we'll be able to go to some more places, from to Vancouver as well, and do that.
Kula Shaker now has their original lineup, and I know you've really you described your bandmates as your best friends, right? So I take it you have to be pretty tight and pretty comfortable with each other to get back into a van and go touring, being in close-knit confines to this part in your career. Maybe talk a bit about the bond and the connection that you guys have.
We're a band of brothers, and that means that we don't really have any secrets. Everybody knows everything, and that is a bond, isn't it? Because you can blackmail each other. There's no hiding. We've all given each other verrucas over the years. But honestly, it's kind of special if you can stay friends that long and not drift apart, because it's so often you meet, like when we hooked up with Jay again after our kind of 15 years. I mean, it's crazy that 15 years was able to go by like that.
Right.
But he was in Oasis, I guess. That was his excuse. But when we reconnected, we still had the same sense of humor. I mean, we were still seeing the world in a similar way. It wasn't like we'd kind of diverged so much. We still had a similar point of view, and that means you're a gang. You're always going to be that gang, and it was very reassuring, actually. But I guess there's not many people who see the world quite like we do, apart from us. So we've all kind of we've all had these very extreme experiences that have bonded us together.
Is it the music that is that catalyst for you four guys? All you've done together, lots of albums, and we'll talk about your new album that's going to be coming out at the start of 2026. But is it that music that keeps you guys bonded, keeps you guys together?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the difference between a band and recording artists, and producers, and a band is all about the chemistry. That is the difference between a song and a performance. And so our band has always been that combination of personalities, and the music is the glue. Yeah, exactly. And the music is the way that we all kind of understand each other. I've always said the first audience you play to is each other. I'll play a song and I'll kind of get excited if I know that they're going to hear it first, because I know what they like, and I know what they're going to be excited about or surprised by. And that's it. If the four of you are all inspired, then you've got a good chance that other people will be too.
If the four of you aren't inspired by it, then
we wouldn't do it. I promise you.
Right.
No, we're still really excited about the band, and we're still surprised. Actually, the band sounds as good as it does. We're kind of like spectators as much as we are, in the ring. I say boxing ring, and nothing to do with Tolkien at this point.
Yeah. So there was no physical altercations in the van in the tour, I guess, right?
Oh, every now and again we'll have a fight, just to clear the air. I have to get the first punch in. Jay's family, they're trained boxers.
Oh.
So he might look like a skinny hippie, but he's actually quite deadly.
No doubt. And so I've read a lot too about Kula Shaker and your sound now, and it's really a lot of people describe it as sounding like revitalized, and they've really reconnected, I guess, with the spirit of from your debut album in '96, but now with a bit more bite and a bit more self-awareness. So Crispian, would you agree that that's kind of an accurate kind of state of the band description right now?
Well, look, I struggle to be objective. The press person says, how's this? And do you like this? And I say, I honestly don't want to see it, because it's kind of weird to look at yourself in the mirror too long. I would just say that the band always believed in what it was doing and always felt genuinely inspired. And I think there's a kind of a relevance to what we did then that was needed and appreciated during the end of Britpop. I think, there was a psychedelic thing. There was a spiritual quest aspect of it that is just timeless, and it was utterly genuine. And I think that it's kind of come full circle. It's just a good time for the band, and people feel it speaks to them in these present times.
Wormslayer, your 8th album, is going to be out start of January, and there's already some songs out that people can hear. You've kind of talked about the album. You hope people really enjoy the twists and turns of the album. Everybody's
struggling with the way that the music world has become so fragmented, and the way that music is just getting fed to people, whether they like it or not. And I know that Liam Howlett from Prodigy, who I worked with, and I know, he's just gone on a bit of a rant, completely justifiable, talking about how the music scene is even more disposable than it was in the heyday of pop. I mean, it really is, here today, gone tomorrow. It doesn't have anything to do with equality or anything. It's just the fact that people are literally scrolling with their thumbs and discovering music with their thumbs. So the relationship between the listener and the music, it has become very much faster and more disposable. Pop music was always about being disposable, but it's gone to new depths. So we're really committed to making albums and telling stories, and that's what we've always done. And that it's the current environment has just pushed us to get into it even more and embrace it, and keep those twists and turns of a story going, so that you just don't know what you're getting from a band until you've got the record, and then you get it. Then you see the artwork, and then you see the love and the care and attention that's gone into it, and then you have a proper relationship. That's how I listen to music. That's how I became passionate about music. The new album is really, I think you guys have described it as some of the most imaginative and adventurous that you've had in decades. So what would you agree with that, I guess, Crispian? And what are some of those new elements in Wormslayer that people can expect to hear come January? I think the main aspect of Wormslayer that's different is the kind of the magical sort of the alchemy of capturing the live energy of a band on record. I mean, we've always struggled with it, and I think that Natural Magic actually was quite refreshing in that we'd kind of gone into our sort of 3-minute pop roots, and we had really brought that to the fore, but it still had the electricity of the live band. And this next record, we've kind of maintained that, but brought back in a lot of the storytelling prog elements that we known for with Kay and especially with Peasants, Pigs and Astronauts. So you can be on your 8th album and 30 years into your career, and you're just thinking you're just starting to get it. You're just starting to crack the code of what it's all about. And I think that filmmakers like David Lean, he was still struggling trying to get it right, and he'd already made Lawrence of Arabia at that point. Right. Yeah. So I know we're pretty ambitious, and we're still trying to perfect our craft. I don't know if it was just one of the songs but you had some assistance by a couple of monkeys. I need you to tell me this story. I don't know if this was just the video for one of the single Good Money, or... It was because we did this epic live action video for Broker's Folk, and, to sort of echo the words of Liam Howlett, it was just here today, gone tomorrow. You create an epic work for a video, and it's so easy for it to just disappear in a puff of smoke on the internet. And a lot of people were saying that some of the big shots like the galleon, this galleon ship that we filmed, and me climbing up rocks, and that it was all AI. And so we thought that was really funny because it was an inversion of the whole AI narrative, which was people were going to believe everything they saw that was AI.
Right.
And now we had exactly the opposite. Nobody was believing the real thing. So we just took, for the next video, we just kind of like got some monkeys and got the monkeys to bash a keyboard and see what came out, and it turned out pretty good.
Well, that's pretty good. Talk to me a little bit about the lyrics there. So from what I understand, the story in the song kind of became part of the overall theme, I guess, for the whole album, right? You
always want to have some kind of a story or a lyric or an idea to begin a process. And when we worked with Bob Ezrin on our second album, he'd worked with Peter Gabriel and Pink Floyd, and he was very much an advocate of sequencing and storytelling. Even if you only had one song, you should be thinking about where that one song will go. And so, I'm trained to think of these albums in terms of performance and the curtain going up, and then you tell a story. So I had this story that my grandmother had told me about a little boy who grows wings. And, she had written it in the late 70s when my grandfather was in Ireland making a film called Ryan's Daughter with David Lean, funnily enough. And so this story has kind of haunted me for years. And I was going to make it as a film at one point. I was in Hollywood and I was working with Stephen Fry. Michael Keaton was involved at one point. But it was one of those classic development hell stories. And it went to, and it got jammed up in the system at Hollywood, and it was held to ransom. And so it was one of those painful experiences where the story that you're trying to tell becomes mirrored in real life. And this thing that you love, this your baby, your winged child, becomes trapped in a dungeon.
Right.
So I think all of us feel like that. There's a part of all of us that is the pure, the untouched, magical child. Mm-hmm. And we've all, had to deal with the shit of the world. But actually, we are all that. Mm-hmm. We are all that person at our core. And we're trying to reconcile with the life we find ourselves in and our experiences. So it's not a bitter story, but it's bittersweet. Mm-hmm. And it became the kind of launching pad into the rest of the songs.
I like how you described how the albums are one piece and one story altogether. Going back to your live performances, 8 albums in and lots of stories. How do you make your set list for your shows? Because like you said, the album's like one whole story. How do you go through with that expanding catalog and create like the one show experience with all these intertwining kind of stories? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think it's quite hard at times. It depends what mood you're in, and Jay's been back long enough now that he's remembered a lot of the chords. Right. He's remembered a lot of the parts. So our sets are, becoming, and Alonza's the worst. I mean, Alonza, he's always forgetting the chords. But we have the luxury of a lot of material, and we just need, sometimes we play a set that's a little bit more 90s, and then we have a set that's a little bit more folky, and it works well for us. And we're definitely over the next year we'll be mixing up our shows a bit more, so they're very sort of varied. And I like, there's some bands that are doing it really successfully, like King Gizzard, and I think it's a refreshing approach. You just don't know what show you're going to get. Right.
So that would be the approach. Like, I don't want to assume anything, but Wormslayer coming out in a couple months. Can we expect more dates with that? And is that the kind of the idea that if there is a tour with the album, there'd be it wouldn't be the same show every night kind of thing?
I won't be the same show every night. No, I mean, sometimes the bookends, it's helpful when you got the bookends right. But I'm pretty confident that people are going to want to hear a lot of these tracks live. So we got to be ready. Because some of them are, like the title track is 8-9 minutes long. And people are going to want us to pull that, see if we can pull it off.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Crispian, thank you very much for taking time with me today. I know everyone's excited for the new album, and people can stream a few of the songs right now. So hop on wherever you get your music. And but we'll look forward to the end of January to get the full length Wormslayer so everyone can consume it.
Oh yeah. And thank you for letting me see your retro space age sound booth.
Yeah, it's it may look that way on Zoom, but it's really just a closet that we kind of changed up and made it work for what we need. But
yeah, it looks kind of like
no one's described it space age yet, though. That's I'm going to tell my wife that, and she's going to be.
It looks like cool. A kind of. It looks like something like Dallas in Alien would have been. And I can't see the computer screen with all the lights.
But my question to you, though, Crispian, is this real or is this AI generated, right?
Yeah.
It's real. Right on. Yeah, thanks, man. But anyway, it's a pleasure to chat with you, and hopefully you guys get back to Canada on your next run at shows. And we need to see you guys live, so we'll be keeping an eye out for it. So hopefully you make it our way.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Yeah, you bet, man. Take care.